So we're starting out today on a randomly rainy day in April. I guess the phrase is April showers, but I wasn't expecting it. I'm sure it was on the forecast, but who looks at the forecast in San Diego? But it's okay, because we need to work in the garage today. We have some new fittings for the turbo system. I'm going to run up real quickly to the auto parts store and pick up some items we need for installing the engine. Clutch slave cylinder, throwout bearing, and we'll get the clutch on the motor today as well as those fittings. And if the weather lets up, we might actually move the engine from the garage to the side of the house where we're storing the FC. All right, so what we're working on right now is finishing up the turbo kit install on the 13B right here. Now what's happened, just a brief recap, is we got this beautiful Borg Warner turbo system from Turbosource, but we ordered an FD version. Not sure how that happened, but they were very helpful in getting the correct parts out to make it fit the FC version of the 13B, and also this was while they were moving their shop. So took a little bit of time, but we're happy with the resolution on that. And what that turns out to, though, is that there's a very tricky situation with fitting the coolant return line. So we're going to work on that today, as well as the oil feed line, which should be much simpler. We're going to get those buttoned up. I want to work on getting the clutch on as well. We've got a new clutch, ACT 6-puck sprung clutch. And if we get that done and it's workable, we're going to pick up the parts from the auto store, throwout bearing, and slave cylinder, and possibly, fingers crossed, if we get far enough, get the engine in the car today, which would be amazing. But the weather's not cooperating, so we're going to watch the forecast and see how that goes. Right now, let me show you the tricky bits we need to do for the turbo. This is the water pump lower neck right here. And just behind here on the turbo, let's see if I can find it for the camera. Right here, my finger is a AN line fitting, which we need to get to this line right here. So in order to do that, what they've sent me is a 90-degree fitting, this fitting, and then a length of tubing with a heat shield, because we have to curl it around and make it all fit in there. So that's going to be challenging. I think I'm going to start with removing the AN fitting from behind here, so that I can install the 90-degree piece and everything as one, so that we can clear the lower intake manifold here. So I'm going to get cracking on that. So this right here is the space I'm working with, and considering it's 4 bolts, one fitting here right now and a hose clamp down here, I think I'm just going to remove the turbo to work on this. Probably the better idea. And there we go. Turbo's off. Okay. Right here is where we need to get to. Okay. So this piece is supposed to go right on there. Get that torque down. And this piece right under there. And then we'll go ahead and slap this back on. Okay, so check this out. This is the best copy of the solution they sent me. So here's the 90-degree bend. It goes down. This fitting curls up around here. We'll put a hose clamp on it here, wrap it around the lower radiator hose portion and into that nipple. So it's pretty crazy to get this installed. There's a lot of swearing involved, so I didn't film it. But what I'm going to do first is see if I have the old lower radiator hose and try and put it on here, because it's going to be a tight fit. And if it doesn't go on, then I don't know what we're going to do, but this ain't going to work. If that fits, I'll go ahead and tighten everything back down, and then we'll move on to the oil feed. You might not believe it, but I think it worked. Take a look. Now it's kind of wild looking, and I know this radiator hose and hose clamp look like they've been sitting in a barn for a while. It's actually worse, they've been sitting outside. But this is the lower radiator hose. This is this crazy thing, and of course this tail isn't doing good for this hose clamp, but let me get that back in there. There it is. It's all connected, all clearance. It's all tightened down, so I guess we can call that okay. I mean, we won't tell until it runs if it's gonna have any problem flowing, but I guess we're good for now. So next step, oil feed. Okay, so oil feed is attached here, goes up the top of the turbo center housing here, coolant feed from the back of the water pump here, oil drain from the center of the housing comes down to the bottom here, and our wacky topsy-turvy coolant drain is down here. So with that, the long-awaited turbo install is complete. Next, I'm going to move around back and get the clutch on. Now before I start installing the clutch, I need to clean the old pressure plate that's been sitting out for a while, and I'm going to show you it right now. Nobody freak out. It's just a little bit of surface rust because it's been pretty wet out recently. So here we go. Just don't cringe. Here's the old clutch disc and pressure plate. Now this is an ACT heavy duty pressure plate with very low miles, and although this clutch disc also has very low miles, it's unsprung, as you can see, and it's just a terror to drive. And since the plan with the FC is to make a street car rather than a race car, we're going to be switching in this 6-puck sprung clutch. And we are going to reuse this pressure plate. Now the pressure plate has low miles on it as well, and I don't want to use anything abrasive that might mess with this surface. So what I'm going to do is get some shop towels on it and soak it in regular old vinegar, and then just wipe it off with something nice and gentle just to remove that surface rust. I'm sure that if we installed it and ran it a few times, that would all just burn off and come out as dust, but might as well clean it up to start. So I've soaked it twice now with the rag sitting on top of it, and wiped it clean with the wet rags and then a dry rag. And you can see already it's really making a big difference. So again, it's just surface rust. It was stored outside but not in direct wet weather, so it's just from the moist air. Obviously I wouldn't recommend this if the part is really damaged, and something you can do to make sure that that's not what you're dealing with is run your fingernails across it, and as long as you don't feel any deep scouring or anything like that, you should be good to go. But if in doubt, have it resurfaced, or if not, just buy a new pressure plate. But again, this has incredibly low miles on it despite its rusty appearance, so that's why we're reusing it. I'm going to go ahead and soak it one more time, and then hopefully one final cleaning. Alright, so the weather's cleared up just a little bit, which is going to allow me to do some other stuff while I'm waiting for that last round of soaking to get the rust removed from the pressure plate. So staying on the theme of the clutch, I'm going to work on replacing the throwout bearing and the slave cylinder here in the chassis. So slave cylinder here, although it's low mileage since I replaced it, it's not looking too good, and the boot on it is just kind of nasty, falling apart. So I'm going to get that fixed, and then throwout bearing down here just needs to be changed out because it's good preventative maintenance and it's real easy on an FC transmission. I'm obviously excited to get the engine in here, but I am going to miss being able to jump in the engine bay like this. Makes jobs like this so much easier. Okay, and they're both already out. I wasn't joking when I said it was easy. Okay, so here's the old, here's the new. It's super easy because the FC transmission doesn't require you to replace anything, or excuse me, press anything out. You simply slide these two things over the clutch fork and then in and out. So especially with the slave cylinder removed, which is what I took out first, super easy. So let me show you reinstalling this. You take it, you come down here, you push it in there, slide it on. I like to pull it forward to get the clutch fork in there. It's a little difficult one-handed, but let's see if I can do it just to prove how easy it is. Oh, close, close. Oh, I got one side in, maybe. Oh, no. I'm not going to be able to do it one-handed. I thought I was going to be able to, but oh, I'm close. That'd be so cool if I could do it. Oh, no, clutch fork went out. Anyway, I'm going to use just two hands and no other tools, and this will be right. Easy as that. So I don't know if the camera caught it with that angle I set it at, but that's it. In there, done. So easy preventative maintenance. I'll obviously wipe that down because I got a little bit of grease from my gloves on there. And then that's it. Slave cylinder, kind of the same story. Two bolts right here. Well, now I'm bummed because I just opened my box. I didn't check it at the store. They gave me the master cylinder, not the slave cylinder. So I don't know if I'll be able to get it today. Might be able to. The other challenge I have is my phone's not working to make phone calls, so I have to go there to do it. So anyway, I'll check it out. Okay, so let's see after the third soak. Oh, heck yeah. Doing great. Oh yeah. That's going to be almost perfect once I finish wiping it off, and then I'll just use a little bit of degreaser and a clean cloth with clean gloves to get that cleaned off and the flywheel before we put anything on, just so we don't have any mishaps with any grease on the mating surfaces. But that worked very, very well. Okay, crack this guy open. Making sure to save this because this is going to go on the splines of the input shaft. Lightly grease the splines of the disc and slide new disc onto the input shaft. So we need to do that when we actually slide this whole engine into the engine bay and onto the transmission. So I've freed the disc. Real easy thing with this one is it says transmission side. So the side is more flush. That goes up against the flywheel right there. But to match it up, we need our alignment tool, which is this thingy right here. So we're going to put that through, just like that. And then this goes all the way in to the rear bearing, the pilot bearing. Okay. Next, slide on the pressure plate. The pressure plate has 6 bolt holes, 9 holes. So 3 of them should look not like the others, which we can see here. And those line up with these pegs. So we're going to put those through first. There we go. And then put in our mounting hardware. These bolts should not be reused, and I want to make a note that the flywheel in this scenario came with the bolts. So if you buy the clutch disc alone, it doesn't come with the bolts. If you buy the pressure plate, it'll come with the bolts. If you get the flywheel, and of course if you get an all-around kit, it'll come with the bolts. So we're going to put some medium strength thread locker on these and then go ahead and hand tighten them first. And now that we've got these hand tight, we move through with a torque wrench. This is set to 25 foot-pounds, which is what this setup is calling for. And then we're going to move across in a crisscross pattern, just like you would if you were putting a wheel back on, so that it gets torqued down evenly. If the flywheel moves, we're just going to hold it with our hand. The 25 foot-pounds we should be able to overcome just by holding the flywheel in place. We're getting close. Got it. Move directly across. Alright guys, we got a lot done today, but unfortunately the weather's not cooperating and the slave cylinder is not going to be here till tomorrow morning. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.